creating ad creatives that actually convert has nothing to do with fancy creative strategies or dropping thousands of dollars on big influencers to talk about your products. And as much as I'd love to sit here and tell you how easy it is to whip up high converting creatives for your ad account, the reality is to create ads that actually convert nowadays, you need to have specific fundamentals in place when you are coming up with new ideas, which based on most D2C brands that we speak to every week, they typically just don't have those fundamentals in place. So in this video, I'm going to take you through all of the steps that we follow to make ads that can spend over $1,000 a day for your ad account, with the goal of helping you scale your ad account further and ultimately having more success with your e-commerce brand. Just want to jump in super quick, guys, to thank you all for helping me hit over 2,000 subscribers now on YouTube. If you happen to be new to the channel or you've watched some other videos of mine and you still haven't subscribed, just ask you hit the subscribe button down below. It really helps. And of course, I post every single Monday, so it's not a crazy amount of videos coming in your inbox, but ideally you get one good video a week to check it out and hopefully learn something new to help scale your brand. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to the video. Now, before I jump into how to actually make the ads in our formula and process, I want to address some of the core problems that I see a lot of people doing when it comes to trying to make winning ad creatives. The first thing that I see so many people doing wrong is that they only run imitation style ads. What imitation stands for is basically imitating or copying other people's ads with zero effort and thought around how it applies to your brand or your store in particular. And the reason why so many people do this is because it's just the simplest and easiest thing to do. It's just monkey see, monkey do. You know, if you have a creative from a competitor that appears to be doing well, to just copy and paste it and it should work well for you. Same thing goes with templates or hook scripts or any of these things that you go out and basically get for free or maybe you pay for. And at the end of the day, when you just rely on those and you have zero thought process around the creatives that you're building specifically for your brand, a lot of the times you're going to run into problems and you're going to plateau because there's no strategy other than just copy and paste. The other problem that I see is then when it comes to generating content, I see so many brands just spending tons of money on UGC and trying to get video ads to scale in their account. And there's also a lot of agencies that help with this stuff. And what ends up happening is you just start force feeding scripts to low quality content creators that basically turn into robots. And what ends up happening is a lot of these ad creatives that you get back are just so inauthentic and have honestly zero appeal to your ideal customer, and they can see right through how fake it is, and it ends up becoming a creative that we feel like is going to convert because it has a big fancy script around it, but at the end of the day it just flops on its face and you're kind of sitting there wondering why it didn't work. I can tell you the biggest reason why is because people have pretty decent BS radars on when someone is real and when someone isn't. And the third and final thing is they just don't review their ads at all. As soon as their ads are finished, they basically send them to a media buyer and never look at them again. You know, maybe if it becomes a winning ad, they'll study it a little bit more. But the thing is you're going to create more losing ads than you create winning ads. And the majority of people just don't spend any time reviewing why their ads didn't work. And that is a huge problem because if you don't realize what you're doing wrong, you're just going to continue to do more of it. Now, with those big core problems aside, if you're doing any of those, then what I would recommend is to reflect on your process and make sure you're not just copy and pasting and you're not force feeding scripts to people that aren't your ideal avatar or not spending any time reviewing your ads. So those three core things, make sure you adjust those right away. But now to get into the actual fundamentals and the process that we have, I'm going to go through and pull up an ad that is actually spending over $1,000 a day to give you some insights and a visual as to how we created and came up with this concept. So as you can see, we're now on screen and we're looking at an ad that over the last 7 days has spent over $7,000, has a $66 CPA and a 30% hook rate and a 2.98% conversion rate. Now, if you're wondering what tool this is, I got to give a big shout out to Atria, which is basically our inspiration style board as well as our creative reporting tool for clients at the agency. And it's a really great way to visualize things and basically allow us to better understand and study why creatives are working and the specific things that we need to learn about each creative test that we run. It is a phenomenal tool, and compared to some of the bigger name competitors out there, it is literally a tenth of the price, and we absolutely love it at the agency, and so do our clients. And so if you are interested in checking out Atria, there's going to be a link in the description for you below to check it out and try it for your brand as well. Now with that said, let's go ahead and jump in and just play this video so you can better understand it. And then from there, I'm going to break down how we came up with this concept so that way you can do the same as well.
Our bestseller, remember who the you are. Why is this message continues to be our number one? I think it's just one of those messages that really brings some deep gut reaction in us women who have been through some shit, you know? It's a strong message.
Now, first things first, Katya is just an incredible client of ours and we love working with her so much. And she did an incredible job with filming this. And we actually went out and asked her to make this video and ask her to tell a bit of a story. But that's where I want to pause, because what we didn't do is we didn't force Katya to read a script and say something that is not authentic to her. What we asked her to do was simply tell a story and explain why this specific message, which is a pretty clear message, is so important to her customers and why it's the #1 bestseller of her brand. This is where I want you to understand the first part of our process is we focus on providing frameworks to our creators rather than scripts. Okay, we don't want to write out entire scripts for people to read off. What we want to do is provide them a framework and give them some kind of an idea to run with and do whatever is authentic to them, which when it comes to authenticity, Katya is probably #1 for that. So that's the first thing, is that when it comes to working with creators, make sure that you are actually providing frameworks and not just scripts for them to regurgitate. Okay, now the next thing on here, and this is one of my big 3 things here, is to #1, make sure that you actually understand your product. This product right here is the #1 bestseller for this brand. And so we're not trying to recreate the wheel. Okay, we know that this is the best-selling product. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a spotlight on it. We're not going to try to sell some product that is not our bestseller. And on top of that, we're not going to try to force people to get something that is not really popular. Okay, it's the bestseller for a specific reason. So I see so many brands trying to advertise for products that people just don't want, when what you should be doing is just focusing more of your best-selling product. From there, the next most important thing is to actually know your avatar. Okay, Katya speaks to her customers a ton every single day, and so there is nobody in a better position to speak to our avatar than this creator or Katya herself, because she knows the avatar. And so that's why this ad is working so well. And I want to call out the point when she starts talking more about this product in particular, about how she just gets it and how it has this gut feeling for people when they see that specific message. And it's super important that, again, you have to understand your avatar. You have to know what they're going through, what their state of mind is. And I obviously just made a video on this last week when I was referring to things that are simple and easy to do, but also easy not to do. And when it comes to avatars, you really have to make sure that you understand who you're speaking to. And obviously in this scenario, Katya knows that and does a great job of showing that and building relatability with her audience. And now the next thing on here is just understanding how sophisticated your market is. Okay, we know that for this client in particular, that she owns this market, right? Like, there's obviously other jewelry brands out there, but for the specific type of person that we're speaking to, we know that all we need to do is just let our product do the talking, and we don't have to overcomplicate or compare ourselves to all these other different types of jewelry. We just have to come in and tell our story and explain who we are, and people are going to fall in love with us, and they're also going to want to buy the product. Now, the next thing on here, and something that's super important for you to understand, is the hook. Okay, and there's a reason why this hook is working so well, and a part of it is because we kind of have the user on the edge of their seat, and we have this kind of baked in, hey, I kind of want to wait to see what happens effect, by having the hands here holding the pendant and waiting for them to then turn it over. So just that little second of waiting for someone to turn that pendant over is obviously going to help them be like, whoa, okay, like what's about to happen? Okay, now I see it. And there's this reveal, which is obviously kind of grand because this is a very powerful and strong message. Then on top of that, I want to call out how our editing team did a really great job of blurring out any other BS in the background and just focusing specifically on this message and making it very clear. Then on top of that, we're also calling out exactly what Katya is about to talk about, which is the story and inspiration behind this design and behind this message in particular. So when you mix in a little bit of editing with a very strong kind of hook product reveal here with a message that is going to intrigue the user on, okay, well, what's the story about this pendant? As you can imagine, it's a bit of a perfect storm to create an ad that really can scale. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about here is how at the end of the video, or basically to hold everything after the first 3 to 6 seconds, is Katya talking and relating with the user, because we know that that hook in particular is going to hook in a very specific audience, which is the whole goal. Okay, I see a lot of people just doing crazy hooks and doing crazy stuff in the beginning just to try to get people to hook in. But again, if you're hooking in the wrong people, you're actually kind of shooting yourself in the foot a little bit, because you don't want just to hook in everybody. You want to hook in a very specific person. So this hook is definitely accomplishing that. And then we cut to Katya, where now that they're glued and they're watching and learning more, they're starting to hear the story, and Katya is just doing what she does best, and she's relating and basically showing that she understands who you are as a person, and she is basically trying to communicate that she just gets it. And this is why she does what she does, and there's so many other women that love her for what she does, and this is a great community and a great product to buy in, and you should definitely be a part of this brand. Now again, that takes a lot of time to understand your customer, and you have to really dive deep into who they are. So if you're not an open founder like Katya is, then this is something where working with a creator that really gets it, or maybe is your ideal customer avatar, or you spend time to help them better understand what your brand is all about and what you are trying to represent with your products, you're going to be able to obviously get a lot more authentic content, and you're going to be able to relate more with your ideal customers. And then of course, at the end of this ad, we have a very simple CTA, but one that is very powerful, right? We're saying it's not jewelry, it's a feeling. And that is going to, obviously for anyone that hung around this long, going to incentivize them to, hey, remember, you're looking at some jewelry here, make sure you go and shop now. But how do I generalize this, right? How do I give you some kind of framework or action plan to actually apply this for your business? Well, the first thing that I would say is, before you create an ad, number one, make sure you actually understand your product and what it does, okay? You wouldn't believe how many times we speak with specific e-commerce brand owners, and like they haven't even gone deep on their own type of product research, okay? And even if you have done deep product research, do some more, because the market is going to change. Make sure you clearly understand your product and you really understand why people like yours specifically, okay? It's super important to make sure that you understand your product and why people buy it, and not just products in general. Okay. The second thing is to make sure, again, that you understand your avatar and you have a very clear outline of who you're going after with your specific ads. Again, the better that you know your avatar, the more that you're going to be able to connect with them, and the more that you're going to be able to build believability in them that your product is a great solution for them. And then finally, make sure you understand how sophisticated your market is. If you have a very unique product like Katya, where you just need to show the product, then that's great. Go ahead and show the product and let it do the talking. But if you're in a market that's a little bit more sophisticated, or maybe a little bit more competitive, you might have to try to one up your competitors, or you might have to go deeper into the different types of sophistications, or you might have to go deeper with your strategy to really stand out in what can be sometimes a crowded market. Okay, just because the market is crowded doesn't mean you can't have success, but that just means you have to think a little bit more creatively with how you're going to position your product, or you might have to climb up market in overall market awareness levels and try to tap into some people that are maybe problem aware or unaware of your product specifically. And then from there, when it comes to the structure of the ad, something that we really like to think through as a creative team is, how can we create some kind of tension or some kind of waiting for something to happen effect in the beginning to get someone to hook into our creative. But we don't just want anyone, we want our avatar specifically. So again, making sure that we're making hooks that call out to the specific type of person that we want to sell to, and not just anyone and everyone. And from there, when it comes to editing, again, the slight little blurring to put emphasis on the product is a nice effect, but that doesn't mean you need to blur your videos. And another thing that I want to note is, just because we used a green screen style effect there on that creative does not mean that that is a winning creative format, okay? The green screen works well there because we go from Katya talking about the product to obviously more of a founder style video. And what I would say is, if there's anything you want to take from this, is that if you want to try a founder style video and you are authentic to your brand, that can definitely work really well. With that said, again, just because it's a a specific type of ad doesn't mean that it's going to work. Okay, it has to be authentic to you. And at the end of the day, these little minute details, they all add up for sure, but it's not the entire concept. Okay, this entire concept was not let's do a green screen. It was let's tell the story and let's relate with our audience and let's understand our product and how sophisticated the market is and piece all of that together to build a winning ad. So hopefully you can see how all those things come together. Now, if you're a little bit lost on market sophistication or market awareness and you're like, what the heck are these things? What do they mean? Then there's actually a link down below to join our free school program. What I would highly recommend is that you check that out because I cover all of the marketing fundamentals and help you better understand a little bit more about buyer psychology and the things that actually get people to convert. Okay, so I would highly recommend to go and check that out if you are confused. With that said, the final two things that I just want to be clear of is that when it comes to actually testing our creatives, we still follow the very, very simple one campaign structure. Okay, we take our ads, we set them up as dynamic creatives or as flexible ads, which is basically the new version of dynamic creatives, and we test them in a CBO campaign. And if the ad set gets spend, then it's a good ad, and if the ad set doesn't get spent, well, Facebook is saving us money and we can basically call it a bad ad. All right, it's very simple. We don't need to overcomplicate it. We have tried now dozens and dozens of times to take ads that didn't get spent and force $50 or $100 a day on them to see if we can get them to work, and literally 99 times out of 100 it doesn't work, it doesn't scale, and we just end up burning money. So if you are looking to test creatives, we'd highly recommend testing them in that format. And again, there's going to be a link below to one of our one campaign structure videos that you can check out on my channel as well. And the final most important thing that if you stuck around this long, I want to give to you as an extra little tidbit is to remove your emotion from this process. Okay, there's nothing worse than you feeling like an ad should be converting, or like you really like a specific concept and it just does nothing, and you just continue to force it and you try to be like, well, no, this has to work, like it's such a good ad, I spent X amount of dollars on this creator and I spent this amount of time editing it. It doesn't matter. Okay, the only thing that matters is what your customers think about the ad. Okay, and if your potential customers don't like that ad, it means it's a bad ad. Okay, I have had some ads where I'm like, this is going to be the best ad ever, like this is so awesome, and it just falls straight on its face. Okay, and that's going to happen. That's marketing. Okay, there's nothing that you can do about that. And what I see so many brand owners do wrong is they have their emotions involved with specific creatives and they really want those creatives to work, and so they end up doing things that just don't make sense when it comes to testing or when it comes to relaunching them and all this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, you just have to understand that if it's a good ad, the platform is going to know and your potential customers are going to click on it and they're going to buy. So if you launch an ad and they're not clicking and they're not buying, it's a bad ad. Okay, and it is what it is. So make sure that when you're doing this creative testing process that you're trying to be as objective as possible and you really detach any emotion from specific ads and creatives that you make. So there you have it. That's exactly how you can create ads that spend over $1,000 a day on Facebook. Now, you definitely could take absolutely everything that I just showed you in this video and go ahead and apply it to your own brand. And to be honest, you would probably start to see way better results with your creative testing, and you would likely start to produce a lot more winning ads. With that said, our agency produces hundreds of ads every single month, and we are constantly learning new things. And so if you are interested in having a team of professionals actually step in and create these ads for you and actually handle the entire research and strategy process and end-to-end helping you make ad creatives for your brand, then I'd highly encourage you to head over to easyamedia.com and apply to work with our team to get a custom growth plan just in time for Q4. With that said, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this week's video, and I'll see you in the next one.